It begins with silence. No war, no crisis, just balance. For the first time in human history, the world isn't ruled by one dominant power, but by three. Three giants, each watching the other, each holding the fate of billions in their hands. In this new world, the age of unipolar dominance is over. America no longer stands alone. Beside it rises a new coalition, the Eurasian Pact, led by China and Russia, and across the Southern Hemisphere, the Pan-Global Alliance, a powerful union of African, Latin American, and Middle Eastern nations. Three empires, one planet, and only a thin thread of diplomacy holding them apart. It didn't happen overnight. The world we knew began to fracture slowly, one trade war, one cyber attack, one political collapse at a time. By the 2030s, America's economy was still strong, but no longer supreme. China's technology surpassed every expectation, building entire AI-governed cities from Shanghai to Nairobi. Russia re-emerged as the world's energy titan, controlling pipelines from Europe to the Arctic. And together, they decided, the age of Western monopoly was over. The United States tried to adapt. It formed new alliances, the Pacific Shield, the North American Economic Zone, the revived NATO 2.0. But as the world divided into competing blocs, something deeper changed. Power itself began to mean something new. In the old world, strength meant military might. Now it means control over data, resources, and minds. In this multipolar age, every decision, every satellite, every algorithm, every grain of wheat can start a global confrontation. The first cracks appeared in space. By 2035, all three superpowers had established their own orbital networks, massive constellations of military and civilian satellites. Space became the new ocean, filled with invisible borders and silent battles of signal interference. One night, hundreds of satellites suddenly went dark. No one claimed responsibility, but everyone knew what it meant. The Cold War was back, just higher. Back on Earth, the balance of power played out through influence. Africa became the new battleground of investment and ideology. The Eurasian Pact built ports, railways, and digital corridors from Egypt to Cape Town. America countered with defense pacts, tech hubs, and green energy alliances. And the pan-global nations, long manipulated by others, learned to play both sides, choosing their own destiny for the first time. But peace built on balance is peace built on tension. Each power needs the other to exist, yet each dreams of dominance. And like tectonic plates beneath the earth, that pressure can only build for so long before it breaks. The first real confrontation comes in 2041. A cyber attack hits global stock markets, wiping out trillions in digital value overnight. No missiles, no soldiers, just code. America blames China. China blames the US. Russia calls for calm, while secretly mobilizing its northern fleet. For 48 hours, the world teeters on the edge. Then, unexpectedly, a voice breaks the silence. The Pan-Global Alliance calls for a new treaty, one that would permanently divide the world into spheres of sovereignty. It sounds peaceful, but it's really a declaration. We're all superpowers now. Over the next decade, the world hardens into three zones. The American sphere, stretching from Canada to Western Europe, dominating AI, biotech, and entertainment. The Eurasian sphere, covering Asia and parts of Eastern Europe, leading in quantum computing and manufacturing. And the pan-global sphere, controlling the majority of the world's raw materials, agriculture, and energy. Borders are no longer physical. They're digital, economic, and ideological. Each citizen lives under a different algorithm, a different truth. In America, free speech thrives, but surveillance grows quietly behind the scenes. In China and Russia, stability reigns, but freedom costs silence. And in the pan-global nations, unity brings prosperity, but only for those who align with the new order. The dream of a multipolar world has become reality. But the dreamers forgot something. When everyone has power, everyone also has fear. By 2050, tension reaches a breaking point. A drought strikes across Africa and the Middle East. Famine spreads, and the Pan-Global Alliance demands humanitarian access to northern water reserves. Controlled by the Eurasian bloc, Russia refuses, China delays. So, the alliance takes matters into its own hands. Thousands of solar-powered drones cross the border into Central Asia, dropping supplies and warnings. The Eurasian Pact responds with electronic warfare, shutting down the skies. The United States, watching from afar, sees an opportunity to mediate and to reassert global leadership. Within days, every superpower is moving pieces on the board. Spy satellites reposition, carrier groups sail. No one wants a war, but no one can back down. For the first time in history, there isn't one global Cold War. There are three. And then, the unthinkable happens. In 2053, an AI defense system belonging to the Eurasian Pact misreads a satellite signal as an incoming missile. For 3 minutes, the world is seconds away from annihilation. Nuclear protocols initiate across all three blocks. Presidents, premiers, and generals stare at blinking screens, waiting to see who blinks first. And then, nothing. The system resets. The missiles never launch. But the world understands, once again, how fragile peace really is. After the crisis, something shifts. People around the world begin questioning their leaders and their divisions. For the first time, global protests erupt not for one nation or another, but against all three. In New York, Beijing, and Lagos, millions march with the same message: end the power games. And that's when a new idea emerges, not from any government, but from the people themselves. A decentralized movement, global, leaderless, powered by AI, begins connecting citizens directly across every block. They share resources, information, even currencies, bypassing governments entirely. Within years, it becomes a fourth force, the collective network. Not a country, not an alliance, but a movement that unites humanity beyond borders. By 2060, the world is no longer ruled by three powers, but four. And this fourth one has no army, no flag, no capital. It exists everywhere and nowhere, in every device and every mind. Its rise forces the superpowers to adapt or collapse. The United States embraces it, integrating the network into its democracy. China tries to control it, but the data spreads faster than censorship can follow. The pan-global nations partner with it, using it to rebuild economies free from debt. For the first time, cooperation replaces coercion, not because governments choose it, but because the people demand it. The old superpowers remain, but the definition of power itself changes. No longer measured in weapons or GDP, but in connection, trust, and adaptability. And for the first time in a century, humanity stands on the edge of something different. Maybe this is what peace looks like, not the silence after war, but the noise of understanding. A world where multiple powers don't destroy each other, but balance each other. Where strength doesn't mean dominance, it means restraint. It's not perfect, but maybe, just maybe, this is how humanity finally grows up. Because in the end, every empire, from Rome to America, was built on the same illusion: that one nation could hold the world together. But the truth is, no single power ever could. It takes all of them, their rivalries, their fears, their dreams, to keep humanity moving forward. Maybe the future isn't about who rules the world, but about how the world learns to rule itself.